Excuse me, Susan, you are mute. I cannot hear.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for mentioning. Yeah, so we have from the Mesopotamian culture, we have many different sorts of material. For instance, this so-called kuduro stones. I don't know if the community agrees upon an opinion what exactly that is, but it is definitely not astronomical. And that was probably something that had a similar task that lawyers or any sort of documentation for these reasons. And there are several images of deities, of demons, and so on. And the same deities are also found as constellations in the sky. So these are not constellation drawings, but we can take that to reconstruct the drawing in the sky. And in this particular case here, we have, for instance, a plow depicted on the object, on the engraved in stone. And this is how a Babylonian artist maybe would have seen a plow. And this plow can be sort of mapped to that area in the sky where we think that the constellation was. And this is this is then the painting that Jessica made, because she is occasionally then found some other depictions, not only on that particular stone, but on other cultural contexts of Mesopotamian plows. How are they depicted in our school books today, or something like that? And then she made a painting like that. And we can, of course, as Georg explained in the morning, then put them into the stellarium map. And similar things can be done with other types of historical images, like seals, for instance. This is Jessica's interpretation. So we have the Capricorn, the goatfish above at the Kuduro stone, and we have the man with the streams of water from his shoulders, which is a Babylonian god, depicted on a seal, and put together and mapped to the sky. We will find that in Jessica's art. This is a demon depicted as a relief, a Nimrod, a historical book that can be used, and Jessica's interpretation in Stellarium. So this is, you see, it fits rather well. The historical image is reproduced rather well by Jessica's artwork, and it fits very well the star pattern in the sky. And this is briefly what I wanted to say about that, and Steve will continue with a few words on other contexts of her artwork. Jessica is sitting behind, and the images that she painted, we set up as a sort of gallery, and this is in the other building where we will go tomorrow. So, okay, so then I stop sharing my screen, and instead bring up Steve's presentation. don't know what the
Anyway, I just wanted to give even more insight into Jessica's art. I'm very, very fortunate my wife is such a wonderful illustrator for my research publication with her artistic talent. She was interested in artistic things like this when she was in public school, but then it was a little bit later, maybe 25 plus years ago, when she really got interested in fine painting and artistry, and studied under a wonderful artist and friend for how to perfect watercolor, because everything she does is in watercolor, and which is a very challenging medium to use. She's done hundreds and hundreds of paintings, and the majority of them are dogs and cats and horses and such. And that's, is this how we advance it here? Okay. So anyway, I'll just give a couple of examples. This is one of our dear departed dogs, Hercules, she painted. And that's not advancing it either. What were you pressing? Press this one. Okay. And another dog, you can see the details she puts into these, into the eyes and such. She's just done a lot of magnificent paintings, painting for a lot of people. People ask her to paint their dogs and cats and horses, but she has done other animals as well. Here's a little baby bear. That would stand. Done that then. The raccoons, the moose and flowers. Here is a villa that we used to live in Barbados. So here's a villa that we rent when we go back there to live now. She liked doing landscapes too. And then a landscape that she did, we went to a SEAC conference in Malta, and this is the Marsipelak Harbor in Malta, which is a beautiful place. And of course, Susanne showed you some of her work for Stellarium. I just got a couple of slides here. They're more of a collection of what appears. Her artwork has also been on the cover of a number of books, textbooks. Here's her painting of the Southern Pinwheel Galaxy on this textbook, and Trifid Nebula here on this one. And for a couple biology books, Cengage used a couple of her other animal type paintings. And like I said, she helps me. This is my book that just got published in August, Essays in Astronomical History and Heritage. So there's 33 authors that contributed great chapters to the book, and that's her painting of the Trifid Nebula that's on the cover there. One that gets published by January is the Cultural Astronomy Latin America, and of course Clive is well acquainted with this, because there on the cover is her painting of the June solstice sunrise at Chequio. And there's 15 authors for this that have contributed chapters from Mexico to Brazil, Argentina, and Alejandro being one of them. And the book that I'm working on right now, she painted the painting for the cover of the book already. This is Inca Cosmovision, Astronomical Legacy of Andean Empire. It's being co-written with my friend Milton, who is a Quechua descendant of the Incas and learned from their oral traditions passed on through all the generations down to him. So we're writing from that perspective, from the Quechua perspective, from the oral traditions. Jessica did some paintings for me from my own research down in the Andes. So this at Chinchero was about 3,800 meters above sea level. So my research assistant Carlos and I are just kind of resting there. And she surprised me with her very first astronomy painting. I knew she was painting this. This is back when I was an airline pilot, so I wasn't home all the time. I knew she was painting this one. She took me to see it at an art show. Then she surprised me with this one at the same art show, Southern Pinwheel Galaxy. And she's done some other paintings from my own research, like the Southwest Cape here at Glaco in Inca Empire. But her next astronomy painting was the Trifid Nebula. I always have to tell people when they see these that they're not photographs. They're actually watercolor. Then she, from time to time, she mixed in a number of other astronomy paintings along with her animal and landscapes and such, like the Butterfly Nebula and the Helix Nebula. And you'll see these all hanging in the gallery tomorrow when we get to the other venue. The Lagoon Nebula and the Rosette Nebula. Thor's helmet. We went to a conference in Bath and got an excursion to Stonehenge where Lionel Sims just gave a wonderful tour of Stonehenge and Avebury, and this inspired Jessica to put together this Stonehenge moonrise painting as well. And some of the other paintings she's done to help me, she painted this section of the Milky Way, which is prominent in the south. It's down where the Coal Sack and the Southern Cross are, but it's used in many cultures. And the Inca dark constellations, or the Incas saw dark constellations and the dark spots in the Milky Way there, with much quiet serpent and top to toe using the fox, the shore, and the shepherd burning across the sky. And our perspective 3 is what we say. But as has been brought out already in other presentations, other cultures in the same exact part of the Milky Way saw cosmological figures as well, the Australians with the emu, and something that Alejandro works with extensively, the Macoy of Argentina and the Maniac that they saw in that same section. And he and I co-authored a paper with several other people that talked about all these dark constellations, and comparing and contrasting them. There's that same section as the baby and Mother Yama. I wrote this book that Springer published in 2020 on astronomy in the Inca Empire. And one thing I really liked about Springer as a publisher, they didn't have any limits on how many images I could use. So I had over 300 images in the book, and over 270 of them were in color. The majority were my research photos, but there were some historical photos, plus Jessica did 31 paintings, drawings, and maps to help me. And I'll just sample a few here while I finish up. The frontispiece was the night sky at Machu Picchu. And those are accurate stars in the sky there for Machu Picchu in February. And then just some other pictures that she did to help. There's a theodolite buoyed by a divinatory channel. Some ladies with street food in Aguas Calientes. I don't know what kind of meat that was, but it was very tasty. The principal stone is Sahuite. Also at Sahuite, the Rumiwasi stone. Some of her painting, or some of these weren't paintings, they were pencil and ink drawings that she did as well. And there's a map that she did of some of the different sites that I had been examining in Peru. And this is part of Peru for the book. One of the groundskeepers at Machu Picchu that takes care of mowing the grass, and the sacred stone of Machu Picchu. And then there's a map that she did showing the sacred plaza of Machu Picchu and Team River North. And there's a pencil drawing that she did a wash on that, back to it. That she did a color wash on, and that was from the Sun Temple at Yogyakarta, which I think these work better. There we go. And then a pencil drawing of the entrance to the southeast cave at Laco, and it's got the serpent carved into the wall of the cave. And then a little girl in Cusco with her cria, the baby llama. The cuy, which it's actually a delicacy, the roasted guinea pig in Peru, and it tastes a lot better than you would think. It's pretty tasty, but when they serve them for the tourists, because they will just roast a whole guinea pig and serve that on the plate. Where I have gone to restaurants, you can get it cut up like the kind of meats that we usually get, but that's not what the tourists come for. Then some ceremonial corn. Oops, the last one, there's some women with their dogs working in the field. So anyway, that was just a kind of an overview as to Jessica and then more of the history of her art and the story behind what she had done before she came to help Suzanne. And her paintings, like I said, Suzanne has got displayed in where we'll be tomorrow. And Jessica did bring some extra prints if anybody's interested. Is there anything more that you wanted to say, Nels? No, I covered it pretty well. Anybody have any questions?